Welcome into the Dad Verb Podcast. Topics around parenting from the lens of a dad.
Guys, we're switching it up. We're going to be coming at you with some shorter form episodes here for you. And this episode, we're going to be talking about teaching kids societal independence, right? We're just going to dive right into these topics moving forward, keeping these a little bit shorter, a little bit more digestible, a little bit friendlier to watch on YouTube. If you're joining us, this is the Dad Verb Podcast. You can watch these videos on YouTube or listen to us audio through Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. So yeah, that's the topic. Ben, you want to break this down for us and kind of get into how you are kind of introducing your kids and teaching them kind of the basic tenets for societal independence?
Yeah, so what prompted this conversation, with the dads through our text chain was I saw an Instagram post that said this parent sends their kids on these little missions, right? Quote unquote missions while they're out doing things. And what they're trying to teach them is, they'll make them go to the coffee counter and order a drink. They'll make them order their own food in a restaurant. And it kind of got me thinking that there's so many kids, I feel like that as I've gotten older and I've looked around me, there's so many kids that it seems like, for lack of a reason, they struggle with interacting with people who are not in their family, even down to just sitting down at a restaurant and ordering food. And we talked about this on the podcast before, just like having basic life skills of how to, please, thank you, order things off the menu, speak up for what you want. And so, one of the things that we're doing to try and foster that, especially with our son, is he can tend to get a little bit shy. But when we're out places, we prompt him to order his own food. So we help him figure it out before, the waiter or waitress comes. And then we'll actually have him ask for it. And we'll ask him like, hey, do you want to order your own food? And generally it's yes. And he'll go ahead and have that interaction with somebody that he doesn't know. We do the same thing. We go to a lot of coffee shops. We'll do the same thing, kind of figure out what he wants. And then he actually has to go up and order it, use his manners, please, thank you, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, whatever he needs to do to get what he wants. But what we're trying to set him up for is to be able to have these interactions in sort of normal everyday society when we're not around. He needs to know how to interact with people who are not in his family, with adults he may not know. Because I think ultimately it's going to come down to, like, if he needs help with something someday, he's got to have the confidence to be able to walk up to somebody and ask for what he needs and know how to have that interaction so he can get, whether it's help or assistance or whatever it is. And so he can go on about his day. God forbid it's an emergency situation and your kid can't talk to people. They're really going to be lacking that life skill that could put them in a really dangerous situation.
For sure. Saunders, what you got, man?
So, I think I ended up in a luckier situation than most. Living in the small town, it's really easy to kind of let my kid interact with the community without much fear of social reprisal or the community biting back, right? Which, when I was in Salt Lake City, like, that wasn't going to happen, right? My kid was stuck to my side. She wasn't going to wander around the coffee shop, say hi, interact with strangers. But here, every grandma who walks into the local bakery is like, oh, your kid's so cute, right? And she gets to play the cute little 2-year-old card and have that interaction. And so I think ours is, like, again, we do the same thing, right? What do you want? Okay, say please, and then tell the waitress what you want. She's 2, right? She needs a lot of, like, direction still. So we do the same thing Ben's talking about, where we prompt her on how to properly engage, but also she's just a natural, like, hi, I'm going to talk to you. Hi, I'm going to wave at you, right? And not stifling that, which is, I think, one of the benefits of, small town USA, unfortunately. I know everybody can't live there, but cultivate a good coffee shop where the barista knows your kid and watches them, right? So they can learn that interaction. I don't know. Like, I don't know how I would handle that in a city anymore, right? But we talked about it, right? My kid, like, the chief of police knows my kids on site in my town, whether they're with me or whether they're with my dad, right? And it's just a feature that comes with small. And so he gets that interaction, right? I'm trying to think of other good examples. My mother's neighbor buys my kid ice cream cones. Like, he'll just come back from the grocery store with an ice cream cone and be like, here, I got this for you. And it's like, I don't know Tom from Joe Schmo at the bar, right? But I feel a lot comfortable with him handing my kid an ice cream cone, even though he's basically a stranger. And that's, I don't know. Maybe I'm not articulating this well, but it's one of those, I'm not showing fear, so they're not showing fear, so they're interacting with strangers. And we're
you're like leading by example.
We're not embedding stranger danger, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're embedding independence.
And I think that's really the key is, like, I don't know if I was raised with stranger danger, but I know kind of the next generation, right? Those kids who are in their mid to or late 30s were stranger dangered out the wazoo, and they have that anxiety, right? Just I know somebody can't even talk on the phone. Like, they don't like making phone calls.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway,
I think one shortcoming that a lot of parents nowadays have, and including myself, if I'm really thinking about it, is the need to kind of step in and handle some of those tasks that would actually help our kids grow, but we would step in because of a fear that they're not going to do it right, that they are going to mess up. They're going to have a failure, a learning moment, a teachable moment, and we don't want to see them go through that, or we don't want to have to go through the inconvenience of going through that for them, and thus it actually sets them back from a societal development standpoint. So one example, right? Like cooking, right? They want to be involved, and it's kind of setting the stage for, how to cook and kind of get involved in the kitchen, right? But if they, what if they crack one too many eggs, or too much shell gets into the bowl, right? And I'm just going to have to like correct them and all that stuff, right? So those are like, those are like little bumps in the road. They're like, I don't have to go through the inconvenience of the mess, right? Or, them ordering wrong when they go up to an ice cream truck, and they order like, too many things or the wrong thing, right? Let me just do it for them, so you don't have to worry about it, right? And I think we as parents will often kind of step in and just instantly problem solve for them, but in the long run, it does them a disservice, right? It does them a disservice from a problem solving standpoint, from a critical thinking standpoint, from a just basic understanding of life. I've heard stories about kids going to college and not like, who's doing the laundry now? It's like, you not know how to put clothes in a machine and put the detergent in it. Those are basic things, like just steps to kind of like get through and be a part of just a responsible member of society. And it traces down to just parents just doing it for them.
I've heard of college having RAs who actually have to teach people how to do laundry. Like,
that's a shame.
They have a whole, okay, floor,
that's a shame.
We're going down to the laundry machine. You're going to learn how to do laundry now.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
basic life skills are very, they're missing in a lot of places. And honestly, some of it comes down to, like you said, Andrew, it's convenience for us. Like, it's so much easier to just do it than it is to try and teach it. It's less messy, it's less bothersome. But ultimately the kids are going to miss out on the ability to develop and know what they're capable of, which is really, you kind of got to let them fall and fail and let them learn where their boundaries are.
And
as we've said, there are times for learn, fall, fail. And there are times for, we got to get out the door. I don't have time for a teaching moment.
Right. Yeah, like, exactly. And again, it's really hard to balance that. So, finding the moments to just teach responsibility by something as simple as assigning chores, right? That is an age old, simple thing, but like there's actual, like, you have to do it, and it's going to teach them responsibility and consequence from missing out on certain things, making mistakes. It's something that I feel like is being lost little by little. But it's important that, if for us as parents, if we want to see them succeed and be independent in the future, it's letting them make those mistakes, letting them fail, frankly, to build them up better, to build them up stronger. If you have any sort of thoughts on this that you will want to share, let us know in the comment section. We'd love to kind of read and respond to any of these comments. That'll do it for this episode. You guys have any final thoughts on this before we put this one to bed?
My kids eat the food more if they help prepare it.
Hey, good take.
Like,
That's a good take.
They'll eat stuff they won't eat
Yeah.
if they're not preparing it. Like, just
For
what it's worth.
Let your kids be a part of society.
Yeah.
That's all you can do, right? It's gonna happen eventually. They're either gonna fall on their face when the consequences are much higher, or they're gonna fall on their face, now when they're in a safe place, and you can rectify that mistake easily.
Last thing that I will say is I read this really interesting article recently, and they kind of took a poll of like adults who found happiness and fulfillment in their life, and a lot of that was determined by how much they worked as children. So those who kind of either worked on farms or had an abundance of chores or anything like that, they found purpose and they were able to learn perseverance at a younger age, and it set them up better in the long run as adults. So yeah,
Work ethic generates success? No, that can't
who
be.
would have thought? Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
What? That's not a thing.
Oh man. Yo guys, if you found this one really interesting, let us know. Comment below. Share your thoughts on your tactics, your thoughts on building strong, independent kids for the future. That'll do it. You can catch us on Discord. You can find that in the show notes. And we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.